Hey y'all, Angela DeJesus Family Farms here. So, I am, got behind on my videos this week. As some of y'all know, it was Jose's and my birthday versary this week. So Jose and I met December 5th of 1999. And that was December 5th was his birthday. December 5th is my birthday. We met on December 5th. So when we got married 5 years ago, we got married on December 5th. So we call December 5th the DeJesus Tribeca because we just knock it out in a punch and we just kind of live it up for a day. And so that we have been busy trying to take care of other things so that this day off, we could actually take the day off. And we had a good time. But anyway, and thank you to everybody that sent me well wishes and happy birthday wishes and birthday versary wishes. We so appreciate it. Okay, so back to the book. How Not to Die by Michael Greger. So we're in chapter 4. And this is about how not to die from digestive cancer. So I was reading the chapter. It's a shorter chapter. Packed full of information. A lot of great stuff in here. Anyway, he was talking about how every year they lose more than 5 million years of life are lost every year from cancers. So that could be dying from cancer, prematurely, or early deaths that are due to cancer, and loss of basically being able to live normal, active life and participate in life because of cancer treatments and such. And he talks about the importance of, first he goes into about our skin and how much it covers our body, and it's 20 square feet approximately on the human being. But then he goes into internally about our internal organs from our esophagus, our stomach, all the way down to our small and large intestines, colon area. And he was talking about colorectal cancer and pancreatic cancer and a lot of the cancers that come up, esophageal cancer and stuff. And how most of those cancers are preventative when we eat plants or high plants and certain herbs and spices, because they the fiber when we eat plants, how it's scrubbing out the colon area, and in doing so it removes that plaque buildup lining, the toxins that we have. And then, because that's where all our nutrients are absorbed into our bloodstream, is through here. And certain nutrients absorbed certain places. Like iron is absorbed in the colon area. Whereas certain nutrients are absorbed in the lower stomach, some in the small intestines. Some, like vitamin C, are absorbed as soon as in the esophagus, as soon as you start swallowing them. Some stuff from berries, some of the enzymes from berries are absorbed right there. So, he is saying that the average person, so this is the average American that's eating the standard American diet, has about a 1 in 20 chance of developing colorectal cancer over the course of his or her lifetime. Fortunately, it is one of the most treatable cancers and easy to detect with regular screening. So, he's talking about, he brings up about cancer and the different, colorectal cancer and how they can scan for it and see, and it's relatively easy unless you've ever had a colonoscopy. You may disagree. But anyway, he goes into one of the nations that has the lowest, I got these little hairs sticking out. But anyway, talking about one of the nations that had one of the lowest counts of any kind of intestinal colorectal cancer is India. And so what they looked at is the turmeric that they're eating, the amount of turmeric, and how it not only lowers those kind of cancers, but breast cancer, everything, just in using turmeric. And so I have started using it in everything. So if I make a spaghetti sauce, I'm throwing in some turmeric. If I make a salad dressing, I'm throwing in some turmeric. I'm making some beans, some lentils. I'm throwing that in there. And even I'm doing it because Jose is a big meat eater. So when I cook his foods, even when I'm doing coatings, like he likes some things that are baked with coatings, I'll throw it in there. I've even known to throw it in rice to make the rice yellow. Puerto Rico, they do this yellow rice where they yellow it with annatto. I'm using turmeric. Shh, don't tell him. He hasn't tasted the difference. So anyway, but he was talking about how it works. So when you get a polyp, so all cancers in your let's say in your colon start as a polyp. So what happens is it has 3 stages. So the first sign are what are called aberrant crypt foci, that's Latin, but it means an abnormal clusters of cells along the lining of the colon. Next come polyps that grow from an inner surface. The final stage is thought to occur when a benign polyp transforms into a cancerous one. Now, when I was talking about that aberrant crypt foci, those abnormal clusters of cells that get stuck to the lining, that's where eating fiber and crustaceous vegetables and all that comes in. As it moves through your digestive system, it's scraping all that bad stuff off and pulling it out to your digestive system, getting out of your body. So it's not sitting on the wall, developing into polyps, developing into cancer. So he was also talking about curcumin. So it is basically the curcumin is a phytonutrient. It has a phytonutrient in it called quercetin. And it's found naturally. Quercetin is found naturally in fruits and vegetables like red onions and grapes. So it's also found in beets. I looked it up. So and what that does is the quercetin, it immediately decreases the size of polyps, more than half in patients who started regularly eating onions and grapes and all those quercetin type vegetables, started putting them in their diet. They saw their polyps go down immediately. So, and it goes into talking about not only spices, but how what you eat. Like, okay, what the most population does eat every day, he's talking about the people from India, are dark green leafy vegetables and legumes such as beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. These are packed with another class of cancer-fighting compounds called phytates. Phytates. So, he goes in there and he's talking about phytates. They are found in the seeds of plants too. So basically they're in whole grains and beans, nuts, and seeds. And how they work to get rid of cancer cells or polyps and cleanse the body, but they attack those little cells that I was talking about, those abnormal cells. They actually kill them and they kick them out. So what they do is they're attacking them and they're killing them, but they can revive if you don't get them out. So that's why the fiber comes in. They're attacking and killing it, and the fiber is pushing them out and squishing them and getting them out of your body. It also said that in those phytates on a petri dish, when they put it on the human cancer cell, it attacked and killed cancer cells for colon, breast, cervix, prostate, liver, pancreas, and skin. And it left normal cells alone. So it only attacked the cancer cells. Those were the only ones they tested on but it was 100% that it did that on the ones they tested. Colon cancer cells, breast cancer cells, cervix cancer cells, prostate cancer cells, liver cancer cells, pancreas cancer cells, and skin cancer cells. Anyway, so then he has this little sub thing, and he talks about stool size. You go into the bathroom and volume and how much it matters. So he basically suggests in here that you need to make sure you're cleaning yourself out. So what he wants you to do is track it. So right before you go to the bathroom, have the scale in there. Weigh yourself. Then when you finish going to the bathroom, weigh yourself again and kind of track. And you see, as you incorporate a plant-based diet, all of a sudden you're going to see your stool size there get bigger and more, because you're going to lose more when you go to the bathroom, because it's cleaning all that crap out. Pun intended. So it's cleaning it all out. And then, of course, it'll level back out once you're not eating meat and dairy and all that. But anyway, he was talking about how most of us are constipated. So we can't even go unless we have a cup of coffee, that kind of thing. That was me for a long time. If I didn't have coffee, I could go 2-3 days without coffee. But I noticed that in those 2-3 days, if I didn't, then things slowed down there. So I was using coffee, and what it was actually doing was I really needed to do vegetables. And so when I started doing the plant-based, all of a sudden, coffee, I don't need it for that. But he was saying constipation can be considered a nutrient deficiency disease. Yeah. And that nutrient that you're missing is fiber. So if you don't have enough fiber, then your body can't absorb vitamin C. So you could be popping vitamin C tablets all day long. But if you're not cleaning your colon out with fibrous vegetables every day, multiple times a day, your body can't absorb the vitamin C. If you don't have the vitamin C, your body can't process vitamin D or calcium. Impossible. And also, your body cannot absorb the good iron. It only absorbs the bad iron, the toxic iron that causes Alzheimer's. It deposits in your brain. Yeah. So, it goes into the phytates like we were talking about earlier. And then it was talking about foods that reverse the polyps. So berries, that just eating a handful of like raspberries, blackberries, blueberries every day totally reverses rectal polyps. And then they got patients they were shrinking their polyps. Now the polyps will come back if they continued eating meat and dairy. But if they took meat and dairy out of their diet, but continued the berries, they never got polyps again. The polyps totally went away. So it talks about the bad iron and the good iron, and where it's absorbed in the body, and how you want to get your iron from your plant-based diet, which is the iron that comes from the soil. You don't want it to be iron from metals and such, or iron from animals. That kind of iron, secondary iron, like let's say it's in liver. I grew up, you need liver to get your iron. In fact, I went through an iron deficiency here recently, and doctor kept saying, you need to eat liver 2 or 3 times a day to get the iron. But the iron I needed didn't come from the liver. We know that the liver is high in iron because the liver processes the blood, and it holds out or pulls out the toxins. And that's the bad iron. I don't need to be eating concentrated pools of bad iron. I need to get the iron from plants. So our soil's deficient. So a lot of the produce we buy on the market doesn't have as high iron content as it should. Like spinach, for example. There was a study that showed that the spinach that came out of the ground 20 years ago that we bought in the grocery store had 6 times the iron content than what it does today. Same with corn. So these are some things that you can grow, like especially spinach grows very easy. You can grow it in your yard. It's important to get a nutrient-dense soil, a lot of mulch in there, heal the soil. You have a lot of earthworms. You have a lot of humus. You have a lot of activity going on in your soil, and biodegradable materials going on, and organic material. You plant your seeds, your spinach seeds, that come up, and you harvest them. You constantly don't let them bolt. Constantly harvest, and your spinach will just spread, and you're pulling the nutrients out of the soil, and it's coming into your body. So then it goes into pancreatic cancers, and it talks about in the pancreatic cancers, the relation of chicken compared to pancreatic cancer, the risk, the combination, they found that people who ate tons of chicken, poultry, chicken, turkey, things like that, they saw a higher rating of pancreatic cancers in them than they did in other pancreatic people that didn't eat chicken. Maybe they just were fish eaters or something like that. But they talked about there's certain diseases that are, it's almost like a thing that same kind of thing that's found in asbestos. They're finding it in chickens, and that it's a bacteria that is actually transferring in, and it's going into the pancreas. So it's coming from the poultry into the pancreas, and it's attacking the pancreas the same way that asbestos poisoning would be. So it's kind of the same way. It manifests. So if you get asbestos poisoning and it manifests in your body, it most likely will be through your pancreas first. Then it's or also the lungs if you're breathing it in. But basically, they see it manifest there. This is the same with this bacteria that comes from chickens. But they're saying that they were finding that when they treated it with curry, that the curry attacks the pancreatic cancer. So, and he talks a lot about that in there. And so that's another thing that I've done. I've made my own curries, my own garam masala. I'm adding it to my lentils. I'm adding it to my beans. Jose doesn't like the intense flavor or spice of a lot of those. So I do a little less than I would if I was doing an authentic Indian dish that was just for me. But he's enjoying it. And actually, I get to the point I don't even tell him it's in there anymore. He just enjoys it. He loves it. So, anyway, it goes on to esophageal cancers and like acid reflux, which basically you have the acid reflux in your stomach. And the only way you get the acid reflux is from animal and dairy and sugar and fat. So you put all that in your body and your stomach is like, it can't handle it. Your stomach's all torn up from feeding and all this stuff. And what's happening, it develops acid reflux. It's coming up and it's scarring your esophagus. And that scarring, and it's basically when you keep scarring something and you're developing a cancer, bleeding, all these things. And they're talking about the sphincter muscle, which is the valve that holds the food down in the stomach, and how eating a lot of like processed foods, like from, let's say from McDonald's, they use the McDonald's sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich, that it actually, the chemicals that are in that food actually affect how the esophagus or that sphincter muscle works. It actually doesn't work right when you consume those kind of foods, and which eventually the esophageal scarring, you're bringing the toxins back up out of the stomach. It leads to esophageal cancers. And so it's talking about how just reducing or not using animal products, and then eating your red, orange, and dark green leafy vegetables such as berries, apples, and citrus foods, eating them whole, not just juicing them, eat them whole, and getting them into your body, how it helps to scrub all that out. It's going down and it's going to heal all that up. So then he goes on to fiber and hiatal hernias, and how in diverticulitis, all these things that people have, hemorrhoids, varicose veins and such, is all a relationship to the hiatal hernia, which is fiber. Well, I have varicose veins starting the last couple of years. Well, I've noticed a reduction in those. You know, that horrible purple, looks like a road map kind of skin that old women get, you see, with their veins. That, I started getting that just above my knees on the side of my thighs. Well, since I've started doing predominantly plant-based, the more plant-based I am, the less they're fading, which makes me happy because I don't like looking like a big road map. So there was a whole study that he covers about strawberries and how they're totally reversing, using strawberries to reverse esophageal cancers. Very interesting read. So that was that chapter 4, How Not to Die from Digestive Cancers. That was just the bullet points, you know, cliff notes on that one. I really want everybody to get this book, How Not to Die, and read this book. And go on to nutritionfacts.org and listen every daily. He sends a little short video out. Dr. Michael Greger does. And then he does, and he's got great personality. And so he's a joy to listen to, and he's quite funny. I just love listening to him speak. He's not boring at all. He's not like Bueller, not like that at all. But, so I'm well into the book. I've been reading and going back and reading again. I'm on chapter 5, How Not to Die from Infections. So that's going to be my next video I'm going to cover. Then after we get through How Not to Die from all these diseases, then the second half book goes actually into the vegetables and how they, you know, different grains, and it just talks about the chemical and what they do and how they function in the body and how to bring them into your diet, or how to make, you know, put them in your menu and such. So I can't wait to, I'm really excited to get to that part. But I think there's so many of us that suffer from disorders and diseases, and most of them that we suffer from are lifestyle choices. Inflammation stuff. Inflammation is always the first sign that something's going on in our body. So it can be acne, rashes, lupus, type diseases, fibromyalgia, what is the chronic fatigue syndrome, all these, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all those are lifestyle choice diseases. Basically, they all deal with diet. It's what we put in our bodies. And we think, we're convinced as women that we're supposed to eat tons of dairy in order to get our calcium in, but that's not the case. What they're finding out now is the more calcium you consume, the more dairy you consume, the lower your calcium levels. They're seeing higher rates of women with, or even people that have the bone loss with the more dairy. So the more dairy they were eating, the more bone loss they were seeing. And so now they're learning there's a difference in the calciums, just with the calciums that you get from broccoli, your body absorbs and they repair a lot more than calcium you get from dairy. There's something, and that's a whole other chapter in the book. So, anyway, I mean, get it in any way you can. It's like, I don't want to eat kale in the morning. I'll eat spinach in the morning, but kale and salads and stuff like that in the morning. This morning, I had a bowl of old-fashioned oatmeal, like a big, about a cup and a half, with some Thrive Life blueberries that I had constituted in the water with my oatmeal. So I just added a couple of more tablespoons of water in there just to make room for the moisture it took out. And then half a banana. And then that was kind of get me going this morning because I needed fuel. But I could go without breakfast. Someone knows it could give or take. But I really needed fuel. So I put that in my body to get me going. And now for my snack, see, Jose calls it my swamp water, so my muck. See, you see it? Did you see? So basically what we did is this summer, we had an abundance of cantaloupe. They were all over this farm. We had transplants from the chickens of cantaloupe that showed up everywhere, and we just let them grow. So we harvested all this cantaloupe, and Jose and I cut it and cleaned it and cut it and chopped it up and put it in little, those like snack baggies, the small baggies, and put a bunch of those and froze them, and then put all those little frozen bags of cantaloupe chunks into bigger freezer bags. So I have a big freezer bag full of these little baggies I can take out. And so I put one of these in my blender with half a cup of some fresh squeezed orange juice. I had some oranges that were a little kind of going soft kind of thing. So what I did is I juiced them and had about, I'd say about 3/4 of a cup of orange juice from it. So I have that in there. I have flaxseed in here, 2 tablespoons. And then I have a bunch of kale in here and some water. And it is awesome because the ice that I'm using is really the cantaloupe. Cantaloupe has a lot of water in it, and it's very low in calories. And so I'm drinking this today, and it's good. It really is good. I even got our dog, our new puppy, to drink it. He liked it too. But anyway, that's the way that in the morning I'm getting my green stuff in, and helps give me the fuel that I need because I don't want to sit and eat. But anyway, so that was chapter 4. So I need to do another video, chapter 5, because I'm behind on videos, but I'll get it done this week. And then we'll move on from there. But I want y'all to email me at DeJesusFamilyFarms@gmail.com. Those that got the book and are reading the book. Let's do this together. Especially if you live in the Fort Worth, Texas area. I want to get together and do a local plant-based support group for plant-based eaters. And where we come together and we do videos and we watch videos and documentaries and read books about this. And we have potlucks. And we support each other through the process. Especially those of us that live with meat eaters. So anyway, also, and to breathe the point, and I'm going to share this in another video, because I went out and had a really good time yesterday with my husband and ate some stuff I probably shouldn't have. I'm feeling it this morning. Yeah, I felt it. As soon as I woke up and threw my leg over the bed, I went, oh, yeah, inflammation. I could feel it. So, God bless everyone. Y'all have a wonderful day.